Yo, what's up everyone? Austin Dixon here, and today I want to talk about the invisible hand that dictates your success.
A few years ago, I left my 9 to 5 so I could bootstrap an online business while working for my dad's basement. Little did I know I'd run into the big question that every entrepreneur faces. How do you start from scratch and build a successful business that impacts other people and allows you to make money doing what you love? My name is Austin Dixon, and my goal is to share with you the unfiltered strategies and secrets I'm discovering as I grow my first 7-figure business. Welcome to The Whole Truth.
Hey, what's up guys? So today I want to talk about something that typically gets beaten like a dead horse, especially in the entrepreneur space, but also something that for so long I neglected and wasn't really in tune with. And that is the fact that you are a product of your environment. So how I want to go through this episode is really just kind of recounting and going through my journey over the last few years, talking about how my environment has played a role in my growth, my progress, and oftentimes has been a hindrance in getting to that next level. So it all started back in, 2016, really. After I graduated college in spring of 2015, as most of you know, I was working a 9 to 5 down in LA. Now, having been a broke college kid that never really had, a ton of extra money, working a job was super nice because now I had a little more income coming in. I had discretionary income where, 9 to 5, I was working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then the weekend hit. So what did I do? Well, I was in LA with a bunch of my college friends who I just spent 4 of the best years of my life with. And so it was super easy to spend the weekends going out to bars and clubs, eating out, so on and so forth. And really, I fell into this trap of living for the weekends. And this is something that I see a lot of, especially outside of the entrepreneur space, for young professionals who are just kind of, cozy and comfortable with their job. Once again, if that's your thing, no problem. But I had a really big issue with living for the weekends. I actually fell into just a really dark place, to be honest, partying every weekend. I remember there was a night, and this is really what changed everything for me. There was a night where I went out in Hermosa Beach, California, and drank way more than I should have. And long story short, it was a really embarrassing thing to wake up to the next day. And that to me was the big light bulb moment of, hey, I am not strong-willed enough in this environment to change my habits. Like I had been stuck for months and months and months, going out with my friends and partying with them. And I didn't see that change was doable unless I changed my entire environment. It wasn't, cutting off my friends. These were people who I built really strong relationships with and that I really valued. But for me, changing my environment literally meant packing up my stuff and moving back home. And I know that is not always easy for everyone. Moving away from people you care about, physically moving, to a new state. Financially, it's not always feasible. But for me in that moment, it was the only way out, because I knew that if I stayed in LA, I would continue to live for the weekends, and really carry those habits weekend to weekend. So that was really phase one. Now moving back up to Spokane, that is when I jumped into entrepreneurship. And, not really knowing how to build a business, not really knowing what to do in regards to being an entrepreneur, I kind of just threw myself into things. Now, I was living with my dad at that time, didn't have a lot of friends from back in high school who were still living in Spokane. So, during this new phase, I was back in Spokane for 2 years. First year living with my dad, second year living in an apartment with a buddy of mine, and I was actually working from an office at the time. But I look over that 2-year span, and just once again, I think back to my environment. So my environment back in Spokane was quite honestly pretty lonely. I was experiencing a lot of growth as an entrepreneur in regards to learning all these new things, becoming a better marketer, becoming a better salesman. But my environment was really lacking because I didn't know a ton of people online. There weren't any or many people doing what I do back in Spokane, or, even if there were, it's hard to connect in person as an online entrepreneur because you just don't really, always find people if you're not proactive about networking. And so I look back to the 2 years that I was in Spokane, and no matter how much I was learning, there was still a lot of, I guess at the end of the day, stubbornness around how I was building my business. Because when you're not in an environment surrounded by people who are smarter than you, and you're once again proactive and intentional about putting yourself in those networks, those situations where quite literally you are the dumbest in the room, you think that you can't do wrong. You think that everything you're doing is right, and you just have these complete blinders on. And so once again, my environment over those 2 years in Spokane was just, I guess, very lazy. At the end of the day, I thought I was playing at a higher level than I really was. I would also say that, I was kind of blinded to the fact that I thought I was growing a lot, but my business wasn't growing. And so it got to a point where, I realized, hey, okay, what do I need to change about this? I don't have a lot of people in my network. I'm not connecting with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis. I'm working from an office by myself. How do I change this? As you guys know, one of the steps that I took was hiring my first coach and my first mentor. That was huge for me because once again, I literally paid someone that was above me to say, hey, help me bridge this gap. Another thing that I kind of had my first experience with was conferences. So back in, it was spring of 2017, attended my first marketing conference. Now, being I have very extroverted tendencies, but I also have very introverted tendencies as well. Conferences aren't my forte, especially showing up at this conference by myself, not having known a lot of people. I was scared, nervous, whatever you want to call it. I spent a lot of time by myself at the conference, found myself in between sessions going back to my room and just kind of digging around on my computer and getting work done. But it was really an eye-opening experience because once again, I was in an environment where I didn't network and talk to and communicate with people in my space on a day-to-day basis. And now I'm at a conference where that's all you're doing for 4 to 5 days is connecting with people who understand what you're about, what you're trying to do, what you do for work, so on and so forth. And that was such a refreshing feeling because I hadn't felt that since I had become an entrepreneur. So that was kind of stage 2. Stage 1 was back in LA, my environment, once again, living for the weekends, and I physically had to move to get out of that. Phase number 2 was Spokane, where, I didn't have a big network. I didn't have a lot of people who I talked to on a day-to-day basis that knew what I did and why I was doing it. So I hired a coach, I hired a mentor, started attending, went to my first conference. And then it got to a point where I was ready for a big city again, because a big city to me meant A, easier travel, B, more people who understand me, who get what I'm doing, who do the same thing of online business, internet marketing, so on and so forth. So back in July of 2018, moved from Spokane to Denver. And the biggest thing for me was once again, my environment. I wanted to put myself in an environment where I could connect with more people at a quicker pace, also in person, because I was getting to a point where I realized the power of in-person relationships. The internet's nice and social media is great because we can connect with anyone across the world, but you really can't beat building relationships in person and just having that more intimate personal connection. Now, kind of overlapping there was also I forgot when I was back in Spokane, I joined my first mastermind as well. And that was the epiphany of in-person relationships of like, holy crap, I need to connect with more people in real life that, understand me, that they're trying to play at a higher level themselves. And, really just once again, going back to the idea of you are a product of your environment. So that really inspired me to move to a new city again, physically get up and change my environment. Now for the last 10 months, I've kind of combined all three of those things. I'm in a city where I'm connecting with new people each and every day, new entrepreneurs each and every day. I've hired coaches and mentors. I go to conferences regularly because those are all environments that I thrive in and that make me not only a better entrepreneur, a better marketer, a better business owner, but also at the end of the day, a better human. So 30,000 foot overview. Your environment is literally the invisible hand that dictates your success. I found myself making so much progress when I put myself in environments where I thrive and I'm challenged to play at a higher level. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, dude, but like I just can't move. I don't have the money to join a mastermind or so on and so forth. So what I want you to do is pay close attention to the micro as well. So as I've grown personally as an individual, as an entrepreneur, not only am I looking at my, day-to-day environment as an entrepreneur, but one of the things I am very, very self-aware about and cognizant of on a day-to-day and even like an hour-by-hour basis is my immediate environment. So working from home, I'm currently working from home. I'm very intentional about how my home office looks. What's on my desk? Is it cluttered? If it's cluttered, I notice that I'm not as productive because I'm always moving things around and throwing things here and throwing things there. So super easy, tangible thing of like, I'm not a neat freak by any means, but having a clean and organized environment helps me be more productive. Another example of this is I put a book each night on my nightstand. Why do I do that? So that when I get up in the morning, my environment says, hey, go read. Go be productive for a little bit before you jump online. The micro is so important. Another area that I see a bunch of, I want to say entrepreneurs, but humans in general making a mistake these days is this right here, your phone. So doesn't matter how long you spend on your phone in a day, but there's a good chance that you are spending time scrolling through social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. This is, in today's day and age, part of your environment. So you need to be very self-aware, very, very cognizant of what that environment looks like. If you're sitting on social media and all you're doing is aimlessly scrolling through posts of people ranting and raving about politics, or you're scrolling through endless amounts of memes, whatever that looks like, if that content isn't helping you get closer to your goals in life, that's a problem. Because once again, this is part of your environment. So what I did is, yes, I still scroll on social media. Yes, it's still a part of my day-to-day. Honestly, probably a little bit more than it should be, but what I did is I combed through and I fine-tuned that environment. I started following people who post about positivity, post about motivation, post about how they're growing their business, sharing their insider secrets, literally creating an environment on social media that only helps me level up. And this is a huge mistake that I see so many people make. So what I want you guys to do is this week, be cognizant of your environment. Take a step back and audit your environment and think about what is, going on in your space, in your environment that is holding you back from getting to that next level that you want to play at. And I guarantee you that if you do that, if you audit your environment, you are going to find areas and aspects of it that are literally hindering you from getting to where you want to go. So with that said, as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know. As always, please, if you're enjoying this, like, comment, and subscribe. I love to hear your guys' feedback so that I can tailor the content to you. And with that said, I will see you on the next episode of The Whole Truth.
Yo, what's up everyone? You've been listening to The Whole Truth, Secrets of an Internet Marketer. Really quick, I have a question for you. Did you get something out of this episode? If so, I want to ask a huge favor. The only way I know what content is going to help you grow your business is if you let me know by leaving a review and a comment on this podcast below. Also, if you want to join other internet marketers who are growing their business each and every day, make sure to join the community over at salesfunnelsharks.com. Again, that's salesfunnelsharks.com. See you there.